love, you know. Went through every number on my telephone. I thought that all I needed was someone to hold, but I was wrong. I never thought that maybe I needed a friend. You have always been there together till the end. I thought that all I needed was someone to hold, but I was wrong. Finding love ended in disaster. No such thing as happily ever after. Love ended in disaster, disaster. Now I'm free. You show me that I don't need somebody. I only need myself, now it's just me. I'm gonna be free, be free. I'm free. You show me that I don't need somebody. I only need myself, now it's just me. I'm gonna be free, be free. You're here when I need you, steady by my side. You always make me smile when things are weighing me down. We will dance together till the sunrise. We always have a good time. Finding love ended in disaster. No such thing as happily ever after. Love ended in disaster, disaster. But now I'm free. You show me that I don't need somebody. I only need myself, now it's just me. I'm gonna be free, be free. I'm free. You show me that I don't need somebody. I only need myself, now it's just me. I'm gonna be free, be free. But now I'm free. You show me that I don't need somebody. I only need myself, now it's just me.
Hello, everyone. Happy Thursday. We are almost at the end of what has been a pretty crazy month, right? Month to remember. And I'm going to do the usual end of year review, like the one that I did last year, and make a party out of it. And September is definitely going to be a very event-filled month to look back on. But hopefully moving forward, we will have more to celebrate going forward now. You know, September was really meant to be Sussex September, but hopefully we'll get a Sussex October. And welcome everyone. Thank you so much, mods. Let's see who's in the chat this Thursday. I see Rosa. I see Karen. Yes, please, thumbs up, thumbs up. I see Benjamin. I see Wendy. I see Fancy Fancy. Hi, Dolores. Audrey from New Orleans. Hey, hey. For those of you over in Florida, or just from the US in general, right? How do you feel about correspondence being sent out to the hurricane zones? I know that there are some correspondents who do actually enjoy that thrill seeking, but I still, even if they want to do it, I still just find it very irresponsible and just, you know, trying to dramatize what is effectively a disaster. I just find that very, very strange. Thank you, She Reigns from California, for the super sticker. Much appreciated. Thank you. I find it a little yeah, it's like they could be focusing on other more important things and not putting the and when I say more important things, I mean how the storm is affecting people, and how to help people as opposed to just turning it into some like Hollywood movie. Um, Wendy, rather stupid. Yeah, and it's just dangerous to be honest. Really dangerous. But I hope anyone affected by the storms is doing okay. Alrighty, on to today's news. Just a few stories. First of all, Jeremy Corbyn, who was a former, uh, or he is a Labour politician. He had run for prime minister, but unfortunately didn't win. He did an interview where he talked about Harry and Meghan, and he spoke pretty highly of them. He said that he had a lot of time for Meghan, that she was very well spoken, very clear. I think he also talked about Harry's work as a soldier, and also Harry and Meghan's advocacy for mental health, particularly of that in the armed forces, and how he had tried to petition for better mental health services for those in the armed forces because at the moment it's still very much just done mostly through charities, and I can also imagine through therapy through the NHS, but it's not something that the government has focused on actually providing a specialized service. And as we all remember, during Invictus, the British athletes were not treated very well. They had to go by coach, and when they were there, Harry and Meghan had a meeting at the British Embassy for the family of the British athletes, which I thought was really nice. Meghan was there with the families and the mothers and the babies, so I think it was just very nice to give back to the British athletes like that. I am going to post that clip of Corbyn talking on probably on my Instagram because I'm a bit scared to play it here because oh, actually, I might be able to just play it through the mic so you can listen, but I won't actually put it on the screen. So if you just have a listen, here's Jeremy Corbyn talking about Meghan.
Meghan is, I think, very interesting, very clear-thinking woman. I've got a lot of time for her.
Do you think she's been poorly treated in the last sort of
Yes.
few days by the public? Yeah.
Well, not so much the last few days. Actually, it's been all right the last few days. So they've been quite warm towards her. But she, before that, I think the treatment was appalling. Absolutely.
I suppose it's led by the media, obviously.
Yeah, it's led by the media wanting to. I don't know why they just wanted to build her up into a negative figure, which she's not. I mean, she's an intelligent, thoughtful woman.
Do you think? Because obviously, one of the arguments you see on social media is it's racist, and they say, well, how could it be racist? And they trot out a bunch of examples. Do you think there was a racial component to it, or was it?
I absolutely think there's a racial component to it. Absolutely, yeah, I do. I mean, who, why? Speculation, but she is a very able person. I think she's got a great contribution to make and lots of radical ideas. She's a good speaker. Good.
Yeah, very obviously. You've got a career and a life outside of
absolutely.
a marriage.
I
And so
think
on.
that's what the stress is because the Duke of Edinburgh always called it the firm, and he thinks everybody should be in it like that.
And she wasn't up for that, you think?
No.
So you heard it from Corbyn himself. Now, one of the things he says there is, the racism from whom and from what. But I think he knows it's from the press, and it's the same press that I think did a lot of unfair damage to Corbyn himself. So it was nice of him to say that and speak truth to power, because for sure, given that the British tabloid right-wing media do not like Corbyn, he probably knows that he's gonna have them on his back after saying that, but he spoke the truth. So thank you to him for saying that. Thank you to She Reigns from California also for the oh, is that a second super sticker? Thank you. King Snarls of England. Yes, that's what we call him over here. Absolutely hilarious. Like when you applied for the job, when you hear back from the recruiter after like 70 years. Sad. um yes, Wendy, good for him for standing up for the Sussexes. And I believe that Harry and Meghan have actually met him and his wife before. Hello, or if you're just joining the chat. Okay. So moving on from that, go okay, something a little bit more positive. Now, George and Amal Clooney are starting their own awards. They're hosting a new ceremony called the Albie Awards to shine light on individuals who are devoting their lives to justice at great personal risk. And it's part of their personal fight, which they say is a response to what we see in the world. And George and Amal, of course, went to Harry and Meghan's wedding, and the couples are friends. So I don't know if what kind of categories they're going to have, how they're going to give these awards out. But it'll be interesting to see if Harry and Meghan are involved in this in any way or given an award. I'm presuming that it's probably going to be people like human rights lawyers and ordinary people doing extraordinary things, but I'm sure they'll probably, or I guess we'll be left to see if they give awards to more well-known personalities as well. So there is that. In the UK, cost of living crisis continues. I mean, it's everywhere at this point. But I guess I would the UK being the economy is, you would think that they would hold themselves to a higher standard and just not be a complete and utter disaster. But that's what it's turning into. And I saw some really funny tweets on the Twitterverse today saying Warren Gillen saying UK hasn't been the same since they increased uni fees to 9k. I mean, that was kind of a warning sign, to be honest. They went from 3k to 9k, which was just ridiculous. And it didn't matter which university you went to, mind you. Even if you went to like one of the lower ranking ones, you still had to pay the same. And James Glynn saying, "I'm in a really bad place right now, not mentally, just in the UK." My current feels. And the Mr. Quasi over here has told investors to stop shorting the pound, and he's saying this after he helped his hedge fund friends make absolute, hundreds of millions from the pound dropping. His ex-boss is a hedge fund manager. And as John Stone said, wages haven't gone up in a decade. Inflation is at 10%. You can't get an ambulance, GP, or dentist. Emergency bills have doubled. Interest rates are heading to 6%. The rental market has gone mad. Welfare's up. Childcare is bonkers. And a pound is now worth $1. What did I miss? What did you miss, John? That it's all by design? Just that, I think. But yeah, like I said personally, I'm looking to leave ASAP and start planting a flag somewhere else, because I just don't see how it's going to get better here. But in other news, back to royal news. Enough of the UK is miserable news. This story came out about Harry and Meghan's security. Prince Harry and Meghan hire bodyguard with a history of domestic abuse. The Duke and Duchess of Sussex pictured with Guardian, who was convicted after subjecting his ex-partner to a very unpleasant assault. Now, that was the headline, and then buried in the actual story is the Duke and Duchess were not aware of the conviction. Well, of course they would not be aware of the conviction. And it's quite scary that the tabloids are now digging into the personal lives of Harry and Meghan's security. Like, are we going to have a situation where Harry and Meghan's security requires security? You know, at the end of the day, background checks are meant to be the responsibility of the firm that they hired the security guard from. So it's really a failure on their part. But it's very scary that the press are going after people who work for the Sussexes, especially after the security, because of the sensitivity of their security situation. And it reminded me of this disgusting article by Penny Jora, one of the royal rodents, saying Harry's making the same mistake as Anna, and I fear he'll come to regret it, just like his mother did. Basically, a threat. And there was a period just after Harry and Meghan settled in California. So this is when they were, I think, still in Tyler Perry's house. There was a string of articles that had this kind of language, like Penny Jora's article. He's making a mistake like his mother. He's making car crash decisions. Just that very threatening language. And you know what? In the end, I do think that this is all just going to blow up in the faces of the UK tabloids and the reporters. They are essentially building their own libel case against them, their own harassment case against themselves. Because at this point, there are literally hundreds, if not thousands, of articles threatening, bullying, harassing, and not just articles, morning talk shows. You had Jeremy Vine the other day moaning and complaining about somebody else that was bullying and stalking and harassing him. Could not take it himself, but is part of an entire media establishment that throws it at the Sussexes every single day and has done for the last 6 years, especially at Meghan. So yeah, they continue to F around, and one day they're gonna find out. Do your comments before we continue. Cynthia, hi Duchess, another royal reporter with truth. Well, I try. And thank you all so much for supporting. George Clooney is an example of a man who understands how important it is to marry a woman of substance. Amal is both beauty and brains. Yes. And he definitely went through his bachelor period, but he settled with a woman of substance. So good for him. Thank you, everyone, for just joining us. 600 in the chat. Thumbs up, please. Yes, Joan Commonwealth, it's only a matter of time before they come for Kwasi, right? And the thing is that they'll let people like him in the club to use them, but they'll never let them back in. So what I mean by that is, for example, Matt Hancock, who was our health secretary during the Mr. C pandemic, has no qualifications in health whatsoever. Many years ago, after the Leveson inquiry, which looked into phone hacking, there was meant to be another Leveson inquiry which looked into phone hacking and the role of the police. Now, Matt Hancock was the cultural secretary at the time and basically shut down that whole investigation. And the public were very angry about it. And then years went on and on and on and on, and everybody forgot about it. And then come the Mr. C pandemic, he gets made the health secretary. So if you are truly in the club, they will eventually let you back in if you agree to take some heat for them. But for someone like Kwasi, he's just a use and throw away. So you're right. He definitely needs to check in the mirror. Because they will use him now and he'll never be seen again. They won't allow him back in the club. It doesn't work like that when you are melanated. It just doesn't. Rahini, leave and go where? It is like that everywhere. Not criticizing, just asking for suggestions. Well, I'm looking to eventually go back to Zambia and have a homestead in Zambia. But homestead takes years to develop, right? I mean, I haven't even got the land yet. So I'm working towards having a sustainable homestead by the time I'm retired. So I've got a good 20, 30 years to develop it, more than enough time. But before that, I'm looking to go over somewhere to mainland Europe where the cost of living is essentially cheaper than it would be here in London. And because I work remotely, I'm lucky enough that I'm able to do that. But the way I see it, it's not that I'm going anywhere expecting it to be perfect and roses and wonderful. I'm just going where it's slightly less worse. That's what it is. And a lot of people are doing it. I know a lot of expats that are moving to Dubai and finding work there. Um, Expats in Saudi, expats in Qatar. I know a lot of people that are retraining so that they can do a remote job and work and live somewhere else than their home country. So there are different things that you can do. I also know some other people who have done TEFL certificates to teach English abroad. Not the highest paying job, but for them, it's their peace of mind. They just want to leave. So there are options out there if you want to go. You don't I don't feel that you have to be stuck in one place. Will it maybe take you a while to be able to put your resources together? Yes. Like I've been planning this for years. So I hope that answers your question, Rahini. I know that everybody can't do it. It is a privilege to be able to do it, but you may have more options than what you think. Joyce Penny Jura was the one who did the same bad articles about Diana. Yeah, I think she did one. It was something about Diana should just be like Camilla or something like that. I do remember seeing something with her name on it, with a headline like that. Carter, late again. You are never late. Never. Yes, Miss P talks. So on royals will expose themselves for sure. Rahini, I was so shocked to find out how corrupt the UK government and family is. So was I. This British citizen was also very shocked because it's very much like a cult-like culture here. Like it is very much like okay, I don't want to compare it exactly to North Korea because that would just be silly. But like it's like North Korea light, North Korea sugar-free, fat-free. And you just don't realize how bad it is until you take a step back, or until it's only when I started traveling, and then when this whole situation with Harry and Meghan really got worse, that's when I was like, whoa, like what is going on in my country? Cheryl, Zambia, I hear it's so beautiful. I can't wait to go visit. England is in a world of trouble with your economy. Oh well, I hope you have fun, Cheryl, and feel free to DM me if you want any advice on traveling around. Black Queen, why do British citizens continue to allow these non-working moochers to continue to fleece them? That's a good question. Listen, at the end of the day, to get rid of them, you need revolutionary thinking and action, and you need that collectively. Okay. With the other on royals, Mike Tindall did an interview, and he talked about the funeral and life as a royal, and he had some pretty weird things to say. Every time this guy opens his mouth, it's like he just says the wrong thing. He's said things about the Sussexes before, and we all remember, you know, Harry kind of giving him the side eye, or barely giving him an eye at all at the Jubilee. So he claimed that the Queen approved a plane that repatriated the bodies of British soldiers to transport her coffin with the words, "If it's good enough for my boys, it's good enough for me." If it's good enough for these soldiers who have risked their lives for the country, it's good enough for her, who sits in castles all day. I don't know why he said this. I don't know why he thought that this would make Lizzie look good. It does not. He also said that he hates wearing medals to formal royal events, but says he can't control it because it's part of the dress code after receiving criticism over sporting his honours to the Queen's funeral. I don't even know what he got those honours for. He also complained because he got a lot of heat online and that it was unnecessary. The medals that he got were his MBE and Jubilee medals. And yeah, he was criticized for wearing medals. I mean, they're basically chocolate chocolate medals. But I'm assuming that they just make them wear them to give the idea of status, right? That's really what they're for. No other reason for them. They're just chocolate medals. Miss P talks, the British worship these people. Do you know what? I'm still not over, and I feel like this is something that we haven't talked about with enough outrage. The fact that Prince Andrew stood in that vigil and those people walked past the Queen's coffin and walked past Andrew. I did not see a single person looking disgusted when they saw Andrew. Not a single person. And that really tells you a lot. Like, he has been welcomed straight back into the fold and into the limelight. Veronica, he is like the Uncle Gary. Yes, he is the Uncle Gary of the Windsors. He is to the Windsors what Kate's Uncle Gary is to the Cambridges. Or sorry, to the Middletons. Valerie, the British citizens are waking up. There is a postal strike on Saturday. Yeah, I mean that's more industrial action. I think it will take a while before we get to action, at least in England anyway, against the monarchy. There is a protest on Saturday in Cardiff, but that's a Welsh thing because they don't want a Prince of Wales. I don't know if we'll get to the point where the whole country says we don't want the monarchy. No, I was just thinking the other day, Charles's insignia has to be put on so many places. The postal boxes, government agencies, Her Majesty's Revenues and Customs, Her Majesty's Passport Office, Her Majesty's Metropolitan Police on uniforms. Like, you know how much money that's going to cost? Insanity. I feel like when I see the insignia all over the place, that's when it's going to be real. All right. On to the next thing. Right, the royals of Denmark. Now, yesterday I reported on this about the grandchildren of the Danish queen being stripped of their titles. And originally, when I reported on it, I thought that it was a good thing. I thought that it was the Danish family moving in the right direction, let the grandkids know that they're going to have to work for themselves and not be funded by the taxpayer. But it would seem that there is something a little bit rotten in Denmark, and that there is something a little bit more to this story than what we were initially told. And the prince is saying that he was only given 5 days' notice. The media asked him and said, "Well, we heard that you were told in May," and that he then responded by saying, "In May, I was presented with a plan which basically stated that when the children each turned 25, that's when it would happen." And Athena, the girl, turns 11 in January. Now, this then appears to show that the royal household was lying to the public about how this was executed. And the prince basically said, I'm not going to allow this lie to fly. So it seems that there is something rotten in Denmark and with the Danish royal family, which was surprising to me because they seemed to be relatively normal from the outside anyway. That there wasn't too much drama within the family. And so this comes as a surprise to me because I don't know much about the the Dutch royal family. And so the Queen of Denmark would appear to be a little bit of a Maleficent figure. And Mad Huri said, you know what I'm enjoying? Watching all these monarchies activate survival mode. All these freeloaders were far too comfortable for far too long. And it's assuming that they think prosecuting the most vulnerable members of their families will save the ones on top. It won't. Yeah, and this is what I don't understand. And the reason now people are suspicious of why the Queen decided to do this and in the manner that she did it is because the prince's former wife, so this is his first wife, is of Asian European ancestry. She is partly from Hong Kong, and that is her there. I didn't know this. Now he also has 2 children with his second wife, who is from Denmark. So people are speculating, well, did the Queen do this because she doesn't want the children of his first wife to have those titles, and is she throwing the other children under the bus to cover for the fact that she just has an issue that 2 of the grandchildren have some Asian ancestry? Now, me personally, obviously, I'm not a royalist. I don't care about titles and all of this birthright nonsense. But, and this is also in relation to the Sussex kids as well, if you are now treating certain members of the family differently, and those members of the family just happen to have a different racial mix in them, well, I'm going to ask questions and I'm going to raise an eyebrow. With the Sussex kids, I will say this: titles or no titles, those kids have amazing parents, and I'm sure that they're going to grow up to be amazing people also. But the reason I do believe that the titles of the Sussex kids are important, and that it is because, sorry, it is important that they are put on the record as who they are in history. And I say that because this institution, the British Royal Institution, is 1,000 years old. They are very patient people. Give it another 1,000 years, if they last that long, or whoever's going to be around then, they need to be able to look back in the history books and say, well, who was there? Who was this person's parent? What is the family history and background of these people who are part of this family? And it's important that I feel they are given their titles, not because I am a royalist or I believe in all of the silly nonsense, but because I believe that there is a deliberate attempt to erase them from the history books. And that's why I think that they should be given their titles, because I believe that attempt to erase them from the history books is to do with their race. So we're going to keep an eye on on the royal family in Denmark and see where this goes, because now the spotlight is on them. And the 2 older boys are biracial. Yes, those are this lady's children. Danish monarch are related to the Windsors. Go figure. Aren't they all kind of related, right? Bridget, I am Danish American. I've lived in Denmark for 20 years, and the fault is not with the Queen, but with the Prince. Marie, Countess, Alexandria want the entitlements that come with royalty. Right. Oh, so you're saying that they. Okay, so they want the privileges that come with royalty. But if they are working royals, then why is that a problem? Or why? I guess what I want to know is, if they are royals and everybody else is getting those privileges, well, what is wrong with them having the privileges? Is it because they're not working royals and they want the privileges? Like, explain. I just want to understand why it's bad, or that they want royal entitlements if every other royal in the Danish royal family is getting those entitlements. Rahini, apparently both his first and second wives were more popular than any other royals. Well, I think anytime you have an outsider coming into the family, as we've seen, there's gonna be some interest there. Cheryl, all those European so-called royal families are fake, rich, and privileged. End them all. It's outdated system that helps no one except them. Yes, there's absolutely no need for them. They can go be rich aristocratic families that make their own money. They don't need to be living off the taxpayer or doing any kind of state level so-called duties. For what? That's why we have elected officials. Bridget, no, I've been here a long time. I started with Tina Michelle. Okay, you're just talking to someone else. Um, yeah, it's an interesting one. Margaret Ann, did you see the story about Denmark's princess, now Countess Maria, criticized Meghan saying complaining is useless, but is now upset she's losing her title? No, I didn't see that. Oh gosh, why can't they just keep Meghan out of their mouth? Keep Meghan out of your mouth. Okay. Moving on. There was just uh, yeah, there was just one other story. I actually wanted to mention the Swedish royal family. They did a similar thing. And the king removed his grandchildren from the royal house also. So this was back in 2019. The decision came on over scrutiny over the increasing number of royals. Parliament announced a few years ago that it would have a review of some principles regarding the monarchy. One thing was the size of the family. He said the king had taken action on his own to deal with the issue and compared the move to reports that the UK's Prince of Wales wanted to streamline the royal family. He also likened the new role of the 5 Swedish royals to that of Princess Beatrice and Eugenie, who have pursued their own careers. Well, they all just need to pursue their own careers, to be honest. And forget about slim down the monarchy. Just abolish it all. You can be tourist attraction baubles, and that's it. FYI, I have actually been to Denmark. I went to Copenhagen, and a lot of the palaces and castles are actually open, and they're quite nice. So if you're ever there, go check them out. And with that, we are done. Did I? Oh, wait. Did I talk about the Queen's death certificate? Y'all, it's been a long week. I'm even forgetting stories. I don't think I did I? No, I didn't. I didn't talk about the Queen's death certificate. Well, it did come out, and it said that her death was due to old age. They didn't specify anything else, and they're saying that she died at 3:10 p.m. That just doesn't add up to me because I had people um who I knew in media telling me like before 3. And you also had like um I- I'm gonna find the exact time, but I'm sure that it was before 3 that the BBC guy put on a black suit. And like basically the whole London Bridge protocol had been activated even before that. Um so I don't know. It just all seems a bit weird to me. But yeah, that's her death certificate and occupation, Her Majesty the Queen. Wait. All right, we will end with your comments and we'll call it a day. Joyce, the title thing is becoming too involved and the law protects us as its children. Meghan told the truth. Charles is going to change the law. Archie and Lily are already prince and princess. Yes, they are already prince and princesses. So the only thing that he would be doing is to basically to remove um what their HRH, right? But you know what? If they do it, then all they're gonna do is expose themselves, regardless. Titles or not, those kids are gonna be amazing. A mad world, it's their birthright, but regardless, imagine your grandmother saying that you can no longer claim your birthright. Yeah, I mean, if she's doing it from a malicious place, then yes, as a grandmother, that is very hurtful. I will say that. Um, if she had been doing it because she just thinks that her, grandchildren um need to live more normal lives, then I wouldn't have an issue with that. But it would just appear that, yeah, it seems like she's doing it from a bad place, and that the public were told one thing when behind closed doors their father was told another. Margaret said that the prince and princesses will be count and countess. Her second son lives in France. Alrighty. Let's see. Cookies and cream. I agree, Duchess. They are trying to erase Archie and Lily from history. That's why they took Meghan's name off of Archie's birth certificate. Yes, yes, exactly. And that's it. That's the only reason that I personally feel anyway about this whole titles thing, because that's what I feel like is the end goal, to remove them from history, to erase those biracial children from history. Otherwise, I really wouldn't care at all, because the whole shindig just needs to be abolished. CN Adams, you're not late. you you all with the conspiracy theories in the comment section. uh Elaine, they put on the black suits at 1 p.m. Yes, and it was about. I need to go. Do you know? I need to go back through my WhatsApp messages to see exactly what time that person messaged me and said their friend who works in the police has basically been informed, and things are happening in the background, and basically like everybody in the media knew, and they were just running around acting like they didn't know. Rahini didn't Liz Truss say she died at 4:30? No, she didn't say that she had died. She put out a message saying that we are obviously all troubled, and then there was a note being passed around in Parliament. Denise, you left England years ago and living in Greece with my peace of mind. Good for you, Denise. So it shows that it can be done. Bridget, you're saying the children will still have titles. They aren't being removed from the family, but this is something many Danes have wanted. Okay, do you know why then that it would appear that they told the media one thing and their father another? Quite interesting, because Denmark is a country that very much prides itself on equality, and I was surprised to learn that they actually still had a royal family. It's going to be interesting to see how extravagant Charles's coronation is, given everything that's going on, because he's been waiting 73 years. You know that he would want the whole shindiggity dig, gold gilded and everything. Patricia, thankfully they can't change Lily's birth certificate. Yeah, because she was born in the US. I don't know. Would they perhaps have some kind of jurisdiction to change it in the US? Would they? Some kind of a diplomatic override? A Black Queen. Yes, Chucky finally got the job. This unqualified indeed. ethnicity talks, but why remove her name from the birth certificate? It cannot erase the fact that she gave birth to Archie. How stupid is that? These people have no sense. Well, think of how difficult it is to find records of things going back, hundreds of thousands of years. And that's why I'm saying, like, these people, they've been around long enough that they're willing to wait long enough to erase you from history if they want to. So I don't think it's about the here and now. It's about many, many years down the line. Bridget, you think that the prince isn't speaking truth? Okay. All right. Who's gonna get the last word of the day? Who's gonna get the last word of the day? Anne Washington, they can't touch her birth certificate. I hope they can't. Tashmak, it's possible that she died prior to 310, but the medical coroner signed her time of death at a later time, like when he was there to confirm it. That is a very good point, Tashmak, actually. That is a very good point. Thank you for bringing that up. All right, Elaine, I'm going to give you the last word of the day. Bye, everyone. Please stay safe. Yes, indeed. Stay safe, my friends. And yes, Rahini, stay moisturized. Stay moisturized and hydrated. And tomorrow is talk day. So if you want to come on and talk about anything Royal and Sussex or United Kingdom is going crazy related, you can come on and speak tomorrow, okay? See you then, my loves. Ciao.
I used to spend my evenings by myself, went through every number on my telephone. I thought that all I needed was someone to hold, but I was wrong. I never thought that maybe I needed a friend. You have always been there together till the end. I thought that all I needed was someone to hold, but I was wrong. Finding love ended in disaster. No such thing as happily ever after. Love ended in disaster, disaster. Now I'm free. You show me that I don't need somebody. I only need myself, now it's just me. I'm gonna be free, be free. I'm free. You show me that I don't need somebody. I only need myself, now it's just me. I'm gonna be free, be free. You're here when I need you, steady by my side. You always make me smile when things are weighing me down. We will dance together till the sunrise. We always have a good time. Finding love ended in disaster. No such thing as happily ever after. Love ended in disaster, disaster. And now I'm free. You show me that I don't need somebody. I only need myself, now it's just me. I'm gonna be free, be free. I'm free. You show me that I don't need somebody. I only need myself, now it's just me. I'm gonna be free, be free.
People should expect the real me in this, and probably the me that they've never gotten to know, certainly not in the past few years, where everything is through the lens of the media, as opposed to, hey, it's me. I'm just excited to be myself and talk and be unfiltered, and yeah, it's fun.